Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 429, Dead Reckoning.
Welcome, citizens of Meeple Nation. For the next 30 minutes, sit back and enjoy.
Meeple Nation is sponsored by GameToppersLLC.com. Upgrade your game experience with a Game Topper from GameToppersLLC.com. They have toppers of all different sizes, mats to fit on those toppers, and they even have leaves to extend the toppers and make them even larger, and mats that fit those. I mean, what else could you want?
Maybe dining leaves?
Though they have dining leaves. Maybe cup holders. They have that too.
Dice towers?
They have dice towers. They have bits containers. They even have wine glass holders.
Don't spill those on the game mat.
Don't spill those on the game mat. In fact, we had an incident last week where we had, luckily it was just water spilt on the game topper mat, but they're neoprene. They clean off easy. They repel the water. Fast Hands made it so we didn't have any casualties, actual game pieces. These tables are high quality. The mats are not only gorgeous, but they are also high quality with a stitched edge. You will not be disappointed. Check out their website, GameToppersLLC.com. and see what they have that can upgrade your game experience.
While you're checking out websites, jump on over to MeepleNation.com. Check out blogs, check out our Instagram feed, links to past episodes, bios. Send us an email and tell us what games you think are awesome. Tell us what you think of Dead Reckoning. Tell us what you think of Dave's sultry voice. Also, on our webpage, on our webpage,
Now, you did this a little bit. I like it.
on our webpage, you can check out our link to Patreon. We have a Patreon page that will allow you to support the podcast, to help us continue to release content and hopefully improve sound quality. Jump on over to that Patreon link. We would love to get your support.
And we think those have already supported us on Patreon. We appreciate your support. It definitely goes a long way to letting us make this great content for you.
We really do appreciate it a lot. So thank you. This week we are discussing John D. Clair's Dead Reckoning. This is a game that Andy picked up off of Kickstarter. When did you kickstart this?
That's a good question. Thinking it was back in 2020. Honestly, I wasn't sure about it because there's area control elements to the game, and area control is not my favorite. I think it's very well implemented in this game. Could be beneficial for you, for someone to take an island over from you.
Right.
If I'm going to be honest, what sold me on this game is kind of silly, but it was the cube tower, it's kind of the dice tower, the way ship battles work. And when I saw that, I'm like, I gotta have that.
So it wasn't the pirate theme, it was the dice tower.
It was kind of the pirate. The dice tower is kind of pirate themed. It's a ship, and you drop cubes down the chute, which is right over the ship, and they shoot out the side like it's a broadside cannon is firing. I just thought that was the coolest thing ever.
I didn't think it was that cool. Mostly because every time I fought, and apparently I only fought you, Andy, my cubes fell in all the wrong places, and Andy's like, oh, look, I did 13 damage to you, and you did nothing to me. You get some stuff, but you sink. So
It wasn't Andy you were fighting. It was the merchant ships or whatever they're called.
True.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I just felt like closest to the dice tower, so he was dropping the cubes in for us.
Well, and Andy was also fighting merchant ships, but he was
doing it better.
Doing it much better.
I'm sitting right here. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for rubbing that in. Let me get some more salt out for you.
Before we get diving too deep into the gameplay and everything, let's talk a little bit about what it is. In Dead Reckoning, each of you are captaining a ship. Maybe just a merchant, or you could be a pirate. Throughout the game, you're going to be traveling through the different islands that are on the board, exploring. You're going to be picking up resources. If you control an island, you're going to be producing on that island, placing influence markers on islands to try to gain control of those islands, and trying to pick up and drop off cargo and gold coins. Ultimately, coins are just points. Your cargo is how you're going to be purchasing advancements for your cards. So this is a card builder, like a lot of the games that John DeClair's done, Mystic Vale, Edge of Darkness, those are card crafter games. This is also a card crafter game. And the way you purchase those advancements for your cards is by spending your barrels or your cargo. Typically, you have to spend cargo almost always, unless you have an advancement that lets you do otherwise, or upgraded people that let you do otherwise. You have to spend that cargo from your home port, which means as you're gaining cargo on your ship, you have to go drop it off. In order to buy these advancements, you have to be on the space where the advancement is, because each space will have an advancement, and you have to have the right amount of cargo on your ship to purchase that advancement.
Now, when you say space, are you talking about the actual individual islands, right?
Yes, so the map will be built up. Each map space will potentially have an island. Not all of them do, but every one of them will have an advancement. One of those transparent inserts that will slide into your sleeved card starts in your deck. You're going to be able to purchase those with cargo, and that's going to upgrade that card.
I love the way they've done the card crafter in this, too. The cards that you're talking about are actually your crew in this game, upgrading your crew. And you've got a fairly large deck of crew members. I think they did a great job thematically with this. They make sense. They work well with the theme.
I definitely think you're right, Dave. Crew members each are going to have some sort of starting ability that's printed on their card. And you're going to start with a hand of 4 cards. Your hand size is actually 6. At the end of each of your turns, you're going to drop up to 4 cards to a maximum hand size of 6. At the beginning of the game, your captain, his ability, he just gives you a sail. One of the actions you can do on your turn is you can set your sails. Setting your sails is going to determine your movement. And on your turn, you can do any number of actions as many times as you want, with the exception of the set sail action. That can only be done once. And you're going to count however many sails are on your boat and how many sails are showing on any cards that you want to play from your hand. So like I said, the captain has a sail on his level 1 card. That would count towards your set sail action. However, if you have any coins or you have any cargo on your boat, those are going to take up space on your ship. Now, if you take up even one single cargo is in an area where you have a sail, it will cover up that sail and you cannot use that sail when you take the set sail action. So it will reduce your movement for the round unless you are at an island you control or at your home dock. Because essentially you basically unload your cargo on the island or at your dock, set your sails, and then put your cargo back. Whenever you're at your home port or an island you control, you can just set your sails to maximum.
Thematic to the game, right? Because if your ship is laden down with cargo, it's going to go slower.
Yeah, for sure. So there are actually 6 different actions that you can do on your turn. Covered the set sail action. You can load, unload, rearrange, or even jettison cargo and coins from your ship. You can unload on any island. You can only load off of islands that you control. But if you want to be generous and drop a bunch of cargo off to someone's island, or if you think you're going to control it maybe by the end of the turn, then yeah, you can totally drop off a bunch of gold or drop off some cargo or a combination of the two on an island and then hope that you can eventually gain control of it by the end of the turn if you need to set your sails. Moving your ship. Movement is not just one single action. You can do movement like all these other actions with the exception of set sail, like we talked about, you can do multiple times. So I can move, interact with something on the space I move to, and I still have movement points to spend throughout the round. Whatever my sails were, those are my movement points that I have to spend.
Going back to what you said, Nathan, about the theme, I thought mechanics of this worked really well with the theme, the setting sails, but not just that. I mean, a lot of the different actions. And one of the things that I also really enjoyed this game, and I thought that they did a great job with, is crafting these cards by adding abilities, but you can also upgrade each crew member. The base card itself, you are going to flip it around, you're going to turn it upside down, or you're going to be upgrading it to improve the base ability of the crew member up to 4 times.
It's kind of interesting. That really does add a level of strategy to the game because of the leveling up. When you gain an advancement that you're going to sleeve into a card, you can only gain 2 during one turn. You can keep 1 from round over round at most. The other one has to be sleeved. Anytime you have more than 1, you have to sleeve one of those advancements. However, when you sleeve an advancement, it has to go on a card that you played that round. So if I retain a card in my hand, I can't sleeve that card into my hand. But at the end of your turn, you're going to drop 4 cards up to your hand size. For my next turn, I'm going to level up one of the crew that are in my hand. Maybe that means I want to retain one of the guys that I really want to play, but I would like him to get up to level 2 or level 3. Right. So I'm just going to hold him in my hand, even though there's an advancement I want to put on him. I can set 1 aside, so when I do play him, I can throw that advancement on him. I love the fact that it adds that layer of strategy on when you want to play a card. Right. Do I hold off on playing that card and choose to level this guy up instead?
The first time we played this, I didn't realize that you could keep the same guy over and over and over again and just keep leveling the same crew member up just by not playing him. I thought that after you leveled him up, for some reason, I don't even know why I thought it, but after you leveled him up the one time, you had to basically discard him. When we were playing, you had a level 4 guy, and I was like stuck at level 2. I'm like, what on earth? How did you do that? And you're like, I just haven't played him. And I was like, oh, light bulb. It adds a whole new level that I really love.
I really like how it balances it. You can level up that crew, but you can't play them. You can't add any of those advancements to that crew member that you're holding to leveling up. So Andy and I were doing the same thing where we were saving 1 or 2 crew members from round to round to make sure that we were leveling them up so that we could have a couple of specific crew member that were at level 4 and be able to take advantage of those upper levels. Each level that you increase, like Andy said, increases that ability that base character can do. On the same hand, each advancement that you put on a character can also increase what that character can do. Mm-hmm. Chances are you're either increasing a character's level to try to get to level 4, or you're trying to maximize one of the other crew members in your hand by either saving that advancement card until that crew member comes back up and you can reuse them. You have 12 cards in your deck. The chance of those cards coming back are, fairly regular. The opportunity to build up those advancements is there. Or you can be saving that character to get to that level 4. You alluded to earlier, Dave, take that base card, pull it out of the sleeve, and you turn it upside down and slide it back into the sleeve. Now it's level 2. Abilities have changed on the bottom. Then if you're going to advance to level 3, you pull that card out, you turn it over, and slide it in, and it's a level 3. And then finally, you can pull that card out of the sleeve again, flip it, slide it back in, and now it has that level 4 base stats. Place up to 3 transparent advancements onto that card, so you can have a card at level 4 and 3 advancements, which will make that one character pretty darn cool. However, if all your other cards are base level 1 stats, then all of a sudden, those 12 cards seem like a lot of cards, because you're waiting for that one card to come up.
Benefit to trying to having multiple things upgraded, because you're typically going to have better turns if you have, like you mentioned, Nathan, if I focus solely on one card, most of my turns are going to be fairly lackluster until I come up with my super card. Whereas if I can get even 2 cards in my hand that have some advancements or some level ups done to them, can really make a turn to where I'm going to score a lot of points, or potentially score a lot of points. It opens my options up for me substantially, trying to diversify on which crew members I'm going to level up. As you're leveling people up, one thing to note is, let's say I get control of an island, there are 3 slots to build buildings on that island. However, you don't start with any crew members that have the ability to build buildings. If I want to go starting to build buildings and getting island and try to hold on to those islands that I control by building buildings, building defenses up, then I'm going to need to level up my first mate. At level 2, the first mate now allows you to build 1 building on an island you control. Level 3, you can now build 2 buildings, and level 4, you can build 3 buildings. And they get cheaper, those buildings costing fewer cargo as you level up that first mate.
You mentioned the first mate and his ability to build. Each crew member kind of has a specialty.
They do.
As you level them up, they're going to do better at whatever that special thing is.
Dave, you mentioned that I was holding on to a card to try to get it leveled up. I was actually holding on to my bosun. Bosun is how you upgrade your ship. And I was trying to get him leveled up so I could get some ship upgrades to be able to carry more cargo and get more cannons. One thing that you can run into as you're putting out these transparent advancements on the board, there'll be merchant ships that come out. They look a little different. So you can pay the merchants, right? Trade with them. You pay whatever the value is up in the corner in cargo, or you can choose to attack them. And if you choose to attack them, you flip the card over and it's going to tell you how many black cubes that merchant ship is going to toss down the dice tower, the cube tower. And then you're going to count your cannons, put them all together, and you just drop them down the tower together. See if you actually won the battle. You need to score hits on your enemy. But one thing I really like about, I thought they did such a good job with this, even if you get attacked, as long as you don't sink, you can come out like a bandit. Even
you're
if
looting as you're going.
Both sides, right?
Yeah.
There's a chance that you're going to come out with coins and cargo at the end of a battle, regardless of how it turned out. Now, if you lose, you are going to take a damage no matter what happens. But you can come out with some serious cargo and gold. It can be super beneficial even getting attacked.
You talked about put the cubes down and they come out the side of the ship, and then they spread out onto this board, and this board has little slots that indicate what happened with each cube. There's a spot or a hit on the other boat. There's a spot that says you're going to collect a cargo or a coin. There's spots that say you're going to collect a cargo and a coin. All sorts of different places where these cubes can land. Great thing about this, because you mentioned at the very beginning some of the things that we don't like that made us a little bit nervous. The area control you didn't mention is the direct conflict, which is something that I know you and I both generally aren't huge fans of. The nice thing that you point out with this is even if you attack me, those resources that you gain, they don't come from me. So I don't lose resources. So it's not as hurtful. Now, if you sink me, it probably sucks and it hurts. But the fact that you're gaining resources, you're gaining stuff from the supply, and I'm gaining stuff as well from the supply, it's not nearly as big a deal.
But you're missing out on the greatest feature of the game. The greatest feature of the game is when you gain loot, it goes into your treasure chest. Everybody has a little treasure chest that is more cool than the dice tower. Actually, I don't know if it's more cool. But I like the treasure chest, although mine was always empty. It has one of the magnetic flaps on it. All your information is secret. Your points are secret. The number of coins you have is secret because all that information is kept in your personal treasure chest. Which, again, going back to the theme, I think is a super nice touch. Follows right along with that high-quality component.
Yeah, the components in this are great. The coins, now, granted, this is a Kickstarter version. I thought the components were fantastic. Not only that, I think there was a lot of thought put into this. On the game board, you have your home port, but they include a disc that is a carbon copy, essentially, of your home port that you can put in front of you. Whenever you produce cargo, typically it's going to get produced on your home port. Playing a crew card is going to produce cargo, but it'll have a little anchor symbol next to it, which means it gets produced on your home port. Rather than having to reach across the board to put a barrel onto your home port, you just put it on the disc that's sitting right in front of you. I just thought that was a really great feature that made it nice and maybe just a little more comfortable to play the game.
Mm-hmm. We've talked a couple of times about the islands and about controlling the islands and the area control portion of the game. It's not necessarily a bad thing when somebody comes and takes control of your island at the time.
Yeah, the only time it's bad is at the very end of the game. During the game, it could mess up a turn that you're doing. It can be beneficial.
The Buccaneer crew member, his specialty is gaining influence cubes. As you gain influence cubes from the Buccaneer or the deckhand, he can also produce them, drop them off at islands to improve your influence over that island. Each island has different amounts of influence cubes total that they can hold. In order to take control of an island, you have to have more influence cubes there than any other player. Now, the blank spots count as a neutral player, essentially. Some of them have 3 spots, so you have to have 2 cubes there to gain control over that island. If I gain control of that island, and then Nathan comes, and he drops off influence cubes, he takes the 3rd spot first, and then if he places another cube, he removes one of my 2, and then he'll take control.
Actually, he wouldn't quite take control of a 3. When you gain control of an island, you get to place a cube in the permanent influence column, and that influences there the rest of the game. And this is why it can be beneficial. The only time you can place an influence in the permanent spot is when you first gain control of that island. When someone comes and takes control of it, that cube counts as one of the cubes for them to control. Say you had 2 cubes and you gain control, you're going to place a permanent one down as well. That gives you 3 cubes. Nathan would have to essentially get rid of your 2 cubes in order to take control of that island. Just the way the numbers work out, that's what would have to happen. And then he would place a permanent cube on there.
Right, but then that opens that up for me to take control again so that I can place a second permanent cube there.
Right. And now why do permanent cubes matter? Well, there are achievements that you are going to be shooting for during the game that you're going to try to get, and they're public achievements, and that's actually how the game ends. Once somebody gets their 4th, that triggers the game end. Getting 6 permanent influence markers is one of those achievements. Some of the other achievements, having 30 gold in your treasure chest. Nathan said that your gold in your treasure chest is secret. When you are going to achieve, I have 30 gold achievement, you have to prove I have 30 gold in my treasure chest at that point in time. Now, if you go below 30 gold, let's say your ship sinks and you lose some gold, you don't lose the achievement, you have it. There's also an exploration achievement. There's an upgrading your ship. There's an achievement for that. There are also achievements for winning battles. And sinking a ship. Quite a few achievements in the game.
So did Nathan get achievements for sinking his ship a couple of times?
No, you only get achievement for sinking somebody else's ship.
Oh.
Not sinking your own.
Thanks for rubbing that in, Dave.
No, really, we talked about the merchant ships and, of course, about Nathan not being very good in battle. The problem was that Nathan would go and attack these merchant ships like Andy was doing and running away with tons of gold. But as soon as Nathan flipped the card over, there were 5, 6, 7 black cubes, and Andy was flipping the car over and seeing that he had to go against 3. So Nathan just was getting bad luck of the draw there.
It's because Andy practiced the game before, so he knew how to win.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's true. But once again, I think this is where this game shines. Even though you lose that battle, you don't get to gain the advancement, but you get to level up one of your cards for free. It doesn't completely destroy your turn. That free level up can be huge.
And again, that goes back to one of the things this game does so well. Takes mechanics that I don't love because they hurt generally, right? Or somebody feels bad when they're on the bad end of a battle, or why are you picking on me? It takes those things and it softens that blow and really makes it so you walk away with something.
Honestly, sometimes you may want to lose, because if you're looking to level up a card more so than you want the advancement, you're still going to get the resources, so it's more of getting that advancement. Sometimes it can be more beneficial to get that level up and actually lose a battle to the merchant ship. I agree, Dave. Not only does it soften the blow, I think the reason why I don't like those mechanics that you talked about, the direct conflict, the area control, kind of like you mentioned, it's easy for people to gang up on a player. For me anyway, if I feel like I'm hamstrung in a game, I'm not going to enjoy the game at all. I can enjoy a game and lose as long as I feel like I can enjoy the game experience. If the game experience isn't fun because I feel hamstrung and I can't do anything, it ruins the game for me. John DeClaire has done a great job eliminating that aspect of those game mechanics, like you said. I think he's done a wonderful job. It really makes the game enjoyable in all aspects. Even if you have a bad game like that, you fight the merchant ship. Yeah, I lost, but I got to level up this card. All of a sudden, maybe it's even a card with an advancement that you only had level 1 at that point, and now you have a substantially better card to play.
Although I did get very vindictive in this game.
That's true, you did.
You sunk me, and it was my ultimate goal. Forget the score. I needed to make sure that I retaliated.
That was actually Dave.
It was me, not for sinking you, though. It was for taking an island that you had left some goods on. I took control and picked up those goods.
Trying to block that memory out of my mind. Thanks for bringing that back up.
Actually, you brought it up, too.
Yeah, you're right. Sure. No, I mean, the game did become very vindictive because Dave was a jerk for taking advantage of me and my weakness. I think you're absolutely right, Andy. The game that has that direct conflict, it has that you can sink your opponent's ship, it has that area control where you're trying to control all those islands, but it doesn't come with the chip on your shoulder unless Dave comes and steals all your resources that you left unintended and sailed clear across on the other board and put a giant sign that says, "Please come take this stuff."
That's true. And we mentioned that it only matters at the end of the game if someone takes over an island, but that's not necessarily completely true. The purser will allow you to produce on islands, and each island will produce either gold or cargo or a combination of the two. And when you produce, you're going to place those resources on the island itself. You can only produce on islands you control. You do want to kind of get islands and keep islands so that you can produce on them and not have to go all the way back to your home port to get resources to be able to buy advancements. And that's also picking up gold off of those islands and taking that back to your port. That's how you get those coins into your chest. You want to have control of things and not necessarily lose control, but there's also that achievement so it can be beneficial at the same time. Plus, there are empty tiles that don't have an island on them, and those are typically going to bump up the income of some of the surrounding tiles that are adjacent to them. So that will make maybe an island that is mediocre and super easy to get control of, but all of a sudden it produces an extra coin. It can be kind of a hot spot and an area of contention that everybody wants to get just because of the fact that it produces an extra coin on. Talked about combat, ship getting damaged and your ship getting sunk. There are ways to repair your ship, and that is by upgrading your crew. When you level up your crew, Not only are they going to produce more cargo at your home port, but you also can repair your ship. Going to level 2 is going to allow you to repair your ship, but you can only repair your ship when you're at your home port. Once you go up to level 3, you can repair your ship at sea. Going up to level 4, the repair costs nothing. It doesn't cost any cargo to do that repair. A level 4 crew member can be huge.
Absolutely. It's great to have 2 or 3 of them if you can.
Just getting that extra cargo, even if you're not going to repair your ship if your ship's not damaged, a level 4 crew member is going to give you 4 cargo on your home port. That can be amazingly good. Once again, there's an achievement, spend 15 cargo, and you throw your achievement out there, which will potentially get the game over sooner if you're in the lead. That's an easy one if you can produce in enough cargo to do that.
We should point out, say, level 4 crew member. We've talked about how your cards are your crew members. There are 8 different titles of cards. We talked about the captain, the first mate, the bosun, purser, the buccaneer. There's a gunner. Actually, there's 2 of your cards are gunners. 2 of your cards are deckhands, and 3 of them are crew, is their title. Crew is what you're referring to there, right? That level 4 crew does all that.
Yes. You would think that, oh yeah, I'm going to upgrade my captain. That's going to be the best thing to upgrade. I think all the cards are balanced really well to where there's a benefit, depending on what you want to do. There's definitely a benefit to upgrading each one. Certain things are going to get unlocked, like repairing your ship, building buildings on an island. If you need more sails, each one is going to do something different. One is not necessarily more important than any of the others.
I agree. The crew is balanced very well. And by the crew, I mean the cards in your hand, not just the crew cards.
Scoring is actually pretty straightforward. You're going to score for any achievements. You're going to score 1 point for every coin in your treasure chest. You score a point for each building that you have. Any ship upgrades. So ship upgrades, there's going to be 2 different tiers. A standard upgrade, and then there's the advanced upgrades. The standard upgrades each are worth 1 point. The advanced upgrades are worth 2 points each. Any advancements that you've put on your cards that potentially could score points, you score points for those. Then you're going to look at majority on islands. Typically, you're going to get a point value for first and second place as far as island majorities. Sometimes there's a third place as well, and you score points depending on where you land, first, second, or sometimes third. If 2 or more players are tied for majority, then they will score the next value down. And that's it. You just add up your points, and
Andy wins.
Whoever has the most points wins. I played this twice, and Doug won the second game, and I won the first game. It was really close between Doug and I. He sunk me. If that battle would have gone differently, I would have won. It was that close.
So you'd played before you played with Dave and I, right?
No, that was my first game.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he did his practice game to make sure he knew how to beat us.
Yes, okay, that's true.
Score was 105 for Andy, 65 for Dave, and 50 for Nathan. There was definitely some familiarity with the game.
For sure. Not even sure if I played a solo game of this prior. I just read the rules and watched a playthrough with John DeClaire. Watching that, reading the rules, for sure gave me an advantage in the game.
One thing that I didn't realize was such a big deal is fighting those merchant ships. You fought them early and often, got a lot of coins from it. Nate tried to follow your example, was not very good at it. And I was
I'm sitting right here.
Well, not only that, I was doing a lot of producing
right.
on islands and getting coins produced on islands, and I was trying to do that on the islands that were really close. That way it could be really easy for me to pick that up and drop it off. Or if I could get 2 islands that were right close, I could pick both of those up and drop them off.
I was producing stuff too, and then Dave picked it up for me.
Yeah, I was being very helpful.
Yeah, helping me out.
You understood getting coins is hugely impactful, whether you're producing to get the coins or taking them from the merchant ships. I was just super happy, having tons of fun crafting my cards. That's right.
That does not surprise me at all.
The card crafting, I think, is the key mechanic. And the key element, what makes the game awesome, is exactly what you're saying, Dave. Being able to develop your character, being able to improve that character and make those changes, race for those advancements that are out on the board to try to improve the characters and they're in your hand. All 3 of these card crafting games that John DeClaire has put out have been awesome. As you go through and you rank them, Mystic Vale, Edge of Darkness, and then shelf above, you'll put Dead Reckoning. Because Dead Reckoning, I feel, by far superior to the other 2.
I would agree completely.
Is that all based on theme and the dice tower that you're using, the treasure chest that you're using? I don't think so, but all those for sure add to that experience. I think that the way that the game has designed and the elements that are there enhance that so that these other little things that are just nice little touches make it far more enjoyable than Mystic Vale and Edge of Darkness.
I would agree. It's far more interesting. There is more going on, like you said, than just card crafting. With Mystic Vale, you're card crafting. That's essentially what you're doing. Very similarly, right, with Edge of Darkness. It's interesting because it has a much larger role in those other two games, in Edge of Darkness and Mystic Vale, than it does in Dead Reckoning. But I think the card crafting is stronger in Dead Reckoning than it is in the other two, even though it's not all the meat of the game. There's a lot more to it, but yet I think it's executed stronger in Dead Reckoning than it is in the other two.
I fully agree with that.
And I concur.
I wasn't sure about this game when I kickstarted it. It's kind of a nautical pirate-ish theme, right? And you can go into pirate mode. We didn't really discuss that, but you can go into pirate mode in this game. I backed it unknowing whether I was going to really like it or not, and I love it. One of my favorite games on my shelf right now. I look forward to playing it any chance I can get. It's great.
Yeah, I would always be willing to play it for sure.
All right, well, let's set it up. There you have it. Dead Reckoning. Until next time.
We'll see you hunting down Dave and sinking his ship for picking up my stinking goods. They were my goods, Dave. Why did you take my goods?
Thought I was being helpful.
As always, we want to thank you for listening.
Check out our website. We have all sorts of cool things there. Love those blogs. Get a deeper look into the writing side of Meeple Nation.
Join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. I look forward to seeing you there.
Follow us on Twitter, @Meeple Nation. We also have Instagram.
Under the same name. We also want to thank our sponsor, GameToppersLLC.com.
We love their product, and there's so much goodness out there.
And we also want to thank Rating Detergent for our music.